TitleMatchNetwork.com.
My very first question to you would be: you come from a long line of wrestlers in your family. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Robert Fuller and Ron Fuller, first cousins.
Right.
We grew up together and been wrestling ever since we was old enough to wrestle. I think my first match was 19, and Robert and Ron's somewhere in there, but we're close age with each other, and my mother and their daddy, his brother and sister. And then our grandfather, Roy Welch, was a wrestler, and that he kind of got wrestling started in Tennessee, actually over in Dyersburg, Tennessee, West Tennessee, and it grew from there and covered the whole state. He took a partner in named Nick Goulas, and they promoted wrestling in Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi. They had a giant territory.
Right.
And then there's a Roy Lee Welch, who's is a cousin that wrestled also. That's Lester Welch's boy, which is my grandfather Roy Welch, his younger brother Lester, and then he had two boys, Jackie and Roy Lee. They both wrestled, and then my grandfather's sister married a guy named Virgil Hatfield, and they had three boys that were outstanding in the ring. They were Bobby and Don and Lee Fields. I don't know if Robert spoke.
Yeah, he was talking about that.
They were very good in the ring. Just, it's a family thing, and all the Welch boys, the Hatfield boys, and we're all very good in the ring. I grew up watching them. Robert and Ronald's daddy, Buddy Fuller.
Right.
Him and one other Grandpa Roy's brother, Herb Welch, and Lester, and in Memphis, Tennessee. I used to go to matches in Memphis with my grandfather and I was a kid, and I watched all the family grow up. So I was one of the biggest fans.
I guess my question: did you know as a kid that you wanted to be a wrestler?
Well, yeah, pretty much. There was never any pressure about it. But you grow up watching all these guys wrestle and admire them, and
Right.
and all the other guys that you'd see wrestle. It just kind of come. That's a very fortunate man to had a little bit of size.
How big was Roy on Kayfabe back in the day?
Oh, Roy was very big on Kayfabe. All the guys were back in the day. Most all of them. Kayfabe was serious business. You didn't. It's all changed so much today.
Yeah.
Nobody Kayfabe. Kayfabe died.
It's true.
And it, it's not the same anymore. Back when Kayfabe was alive, it seemed like things were a little more exciting.
Without a doubt.
Fans and stuff.
Can you talk about what it was like to be a promoter during that time period?
Well, I never did promote, actually, but I went to the matches, the old Ellis Auditorium, Memphis. My grandfather, he was a promoter, and of course he wrestled for years before he became a promoter, and he was a well-respected man, because he was a tough son of a gun. I mean, he had two giant cauliflower ears,
Right.
and they called him bag ears.
Huh.
And everybody, it's funny, he'd hurt his hip from wrestling for so long, and he walked with a cane, a metal cane, and you could hear him coming down the hallway. You could hear that cane clicking. As soon as you heard that cane clicking down the hallway, all the guys start turning around and put their back against the wall because he hit you in the head with that cane.
Wow.
Just kidding around, playing around, but he's a tough old bird, and he'd hit you pretty stiff with that cane sometimes. But all the guys, they didn't leave their back for Roy Welch.
That's awesome. What are some of your memories of your first match?
I guess it was My first match was against the guy I was telling you about, Pancho Villa. I was I was way out in space. I was so nervous and so scared I couldn't relax. I was blowed up before I got to the ring. The match finally got started. Like I said, I was off in outer space in the world, and Pancho was trying to get me to relax. He was talking to me. He was trying to tell me to loosen up, and he brought me back to earth for a few seconds, and then I was gone again. And the match didn't last very long, and I was exhausted.
Huh. How close were you with Buddy Fuller?
Well, Buddy's my mother's brother,
Right.
you know, and Buddy I admired very much. Buddy was a very smart man. He was a great wrestler. He was a great promoter. He was a very good motivator. He was just an all-around sharp guy in the wrestling business and in other businesses too. He made a lot of money, and he was kind of like Bear Bryant to me. He'd get the best out of his boys.
Right.
You'd play hard for Buddy Fuller.
When you started training as a wrestler, who helped you more, your dad or your grandfather?
You know, I have to give credit to all of them. I worked out with a lot of people. My dad worked out with me a lot. He talked to me a lot, which meant more than anything, I guess, just talking to me. And my grandfather, you know, I have to give him credit since we was little boys. He'd wrestle us up, you know, rough us up in the house quite a bit. So I learned a lot from all of them, from him and the Hatfield boys and Buddy Fuller, my daddy. There was a guy in Louisiana that worked out with me, called him Fika. His name was Pancho Villa, an older timing Mexican boy that was very good, taught me a lot. And so, you know, I had the opportunity to get in the ring when I was in Louisiana with a lot of different guys. And so I try to learn a little bit from all of them and put it together in my own style. And by watching, you know, guys that I admired.
Right. Were any of the guys ever overly hard on you?
Grandpa Roy was rough on us. You know, he was a lot of fun, but he roughed us up quite a bit, especially me and Robert.
A lot of the guys probably stayed with your father. Who are some of the guys that you got close with?
Well, naturally, you know, family. Robert and Ron was really close to them because we're his family. But outside of that, there was a kid that I grew up with in Louisiana. His name was Ricky Gibson. He has a younger brother named Robert Gibson, who was one half of the Rock and Roll Express. Ricky Gibson was outstanding. He was a natural. Him and I got in the ring anytime we wanted to. There was a place called Sports Center there in Lafayette. We lived close to it, and we worked there. We cleaned that building. We did everything there was to be done. Sold tickets, ushered, put up the ring. So worked in a concession stand, cleaned the building the next day when the matches was over with. So the ring was always sitting there, and Ricky and myself had a lot of opportunities to get in that ring. Ricky was close. Ricky was a very good wrestler. He was so good that they wanted to. He had a chance to become a world's champion one time, and that's how good he was.
Did your dad's house ever turn into a big party scene with all the guys staying there?
Not really. Did have guys stay there from time to time, but no big giant parties or anything. Some good times, but nothing to brag about.
Talk about the influence of Frank Martinez.
Frank Martinez showed me how to drop kick. Frank was real good at throwing a drop kick. Me and him got in the ring, and I was just a kid. and he stood face to face with me, just inches apart. And he said, I'm gonna jump up and drop kick you right in your chest. And he did. And he showed me how to do it. And that's the first one that really showed me how to drop kick. And he was good at it. I felt like I was pretty good at it too.
Thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.